just landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico. The rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazil was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO classified. UFO classified. No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
Well, happy Fantopia Friday, my friends. I am always happy to be here live. I had the best weekend, even though I missed you all dearly. But last weekend, as some of you know, I was back in Michigan speaking at a conference. And the conference, Michigan UFO Con, was so amazing. I met somebody who I'm seeing in chat right now, Patty, and it was so great to put a face to her name and to give her a big hug and to talk with her. I just really, those connections to me mean the world. I listened to great lectures by John Tenney and Bill Konkoleski and a couple other people they're going to be speaking on my show. And I also did some great interviews with Steve Ward as well, video interviews. So I will be editing those and posting them. It was just a beautiful experience, and it is moments like those that make me really understand why I'm here. And sometimes when I go through these little fits of I have to pull back and hide underneath a rock or lock myself in a closet with a pitcher of margaritas, whatever, I have an experience where I'm talking to people and I'm seeing the wonder in their eyes and seeing that they are scared to talk about their experiences, but then when you communicate with them, they become more confident and empowered. And it really, that's at the end of the day why I'm here. And it means the world to me to have the opportunity to connect with all of you. So thank you for that. Next week is going to be a crazy week for me. I am flying to LA to do a TV show, and then I get to speak at Portal to Ascension in Irvine, California. I will be doing that, and I'm going to be doing a 90-minute talk on my favorite place on the planet, the most important place, the most scientifically studied place. We need to get that straight. Heshtelen, Norway. And I will be talking about my journey to Heshtelen. And also I have some very unique video footage and old newsletters from when the project was first started out in 1983. If you don't know about Project Heshtelen, then I encourage you to go there. If you look at these places like the Yakima Indian Reservation, like places in Missouri that we'll be talking about tonight, Texas. There are places all over the world, Skinwalker Ranch, where you have these hot spots and there are commonalities. Heshtelen, Project Heshtelen, Erlingstrand, and the incredible group of scientists from all over Europe have collected 35 years of data. They share that openly, which is something we don't do in America, and that's most unfortunate. But it is truly a groundbreaking thing, and I want you to learn about it. And I encourage all of you to perhaps, when all of this nonsense is going on and there's all these disinformation agents and people that are delusional spouting off stuff, sometimes it's good to turn away. And I encourage you to maybe turn away from some of the American things and look to Norway, look to the European countries and South America for good research. So there you have my little spiel. I want to give a shout out to everybody in my chat, Dave, Doug Down Under, Joe, Northern UFOs. I love you guys. You guys rock. And I want to tell Doug I'm thinking about you. Hope you're feeling good. And also big thanks to Northern UFOs who helps me and who sent me all of my shows. And anyway, you guys make me happy. So thank you very much. My guest this evening is someone that perhaps you don't hear about because he is Mr. Behind the Scenes, but he has been there for a lot of stuff. He was one of the people that was there when MUFON was forming, and was MUFON state director in Missouri. He is a musician. He is a lyricist. He has personal encounters that he will tell you about, but he has also seen things and can give us a good idea of how people's careers started, give us input on where we should go in the subject. And so I'm really super stoked to have the Bruce Widaman here. So Bruce, thank you. I'm so excited.
Can I talk now?
You can talk now. Was it hard to be quiet for that long?
No, it was fine. My only problem is I'm not a musician. I was, when I was in junior high school, I played the violin, broke my wrist, and I haven't played since. But I do lyrics.
Well, that's a musician.
Oh, okay.
Yes, okay, yeah. You're musical, you write lyrics, and you've shared some of them with me, which is really cool. But it's interesting because you have so much knowledge. And you were, as I mentioned, I mean, you're in Missouri, and you've seen, or you were state director for Missouri, correct? For how long?
Yes, about 25 years.
Wow. And so you knew all about, Ted Phillips, about all of the work and the Marley Woods and things like that, and Debbie Ziegelmeyer, who is now the state director for MUFON, who's incredible. She does great work as well.
She's the best.
Yeah, I really, really like her. She's an example of a strong, intelligent woman in the field.
Well, wherever she is, she's very intelligent, and she's just a godsend. She knows what she's doing, and everybody who meets her says about the same thing. Thank you for being here, that's it. As far as Marley Woods goes, I originally talked to the people there. I got the call, and one of the wonderful things I got to do was, at the time, I asked Ted to go ahead and take that case because he lived real close to it, and I did not. And he took it, and I guess you'll have to have him on to get all the nitty-gritty of what's going on there, but I've been there, and it's interesting. It kind of reminds me of not too far from that area. Well, as the crow flies, there's a Civil War battlefield place. Did you ever hear of Pea Ridge?
No, never.
Okay. Well, if you ever go to the Ozark Conference down there by, Eureka Springs, Arkansas, they have about a half hour west. There's a huge battlefield. It's actually the one battlefield that was so significant it broke the back of the South. They never went that way again after that battle. And there's people that I talk to that if you go there at night, you hear horses, you hear noises. It's kind of like going. I recently went to Gettysburg when I went to the MUFON Symposium. Oh my gosh, it wasn't that long ago. About a month ago, and it was a couple months ago. Anyway, time flies. I'm getting older, so time is strange. It seems like
you ain't kidding.
Everything speeds up, and it just doesn't matter. It's like, wait a minute, it's time for Christmas again? Wow, are you kidding? Spring's over? Wow. You know what I mean. Anyway, it's one of those things that you keep finding out that some of your old-time friends aren't there anymore. And life is precious. Enjoy every day. And let's try and figure out what's going on with these people that are visiting us. I remember a long time ago when I was in my youth, some of these older guys said, I just want to know before I die if there's aliens. I just want to know where they're coming from. What are they here for? And it's like those guys are gone. A lot of them. Some of them are still here, but it's just amazing. It's like it's kind of like if you look at the way you have an animal, you have a dog.
I have 2 dogs, a big fat cat, and 3 goldfish.
Well, I don't know about the other ones, but you know how 1 year in a human's life is like 7 in a dog's life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, it's like that. Maybe these aliens have that real long life, and we have the dog's life. You know, I think what I read in a lot of the abduction stuff, that it seems like the same beings that are coming to abduct someone does the grandmother, the mother, the granddaughter, you know, and so on. And maybe it's that family that they're checking on, doing the research on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I got off subject. I'm sorry. Go right.
No, I love it.
Right.
I'm going with you, man. Sweet.
Well, anyway, I was starting to tell you about when you go around the battlefields, there are like remnants. I'm not going to call it a time slip, but there are remnants of people that have passed on, but some of them are still there. It's like that new TV show that just came out. What was it, a week ago? Manifest?
I don't know.
Did you see that?
No.
On the commercials, it says an airplane just landed, and they're all looking at everybody getting off the plane, and they're saying, "What's the matter with you people? Why are we quarantined?" They said, "Well, did you notice anything while you were in flight?" And they looked at him and said, "Just a typical flight. We left here and we landed here." And they said, "No, you left there 5.5 years ago, and you just now landed." So
that's a day in my life right there. Jeez.
Very interesting scenario. And now, well, it's only had one of the series, so I'm sure it'll get more interesting. It's kind of like the X-Files. It reminds me of that. But
interesting. And so and I'll have to watch it now when I get back from my next conference. Then I can unwind for a minute and get some TV in. But with the battlefield and with the areas where you've got these time slips, I mean, that seems in your observations in your many years in the field. Give us your opinion on that.
Haven't you ever heard of the time slips?
Yes. Yeah.
That may be some of the other things too. I think I remember hearing years ago a guy who was an Air Force investigator, a guy named Clarence Dargy, and he talked about an old biplane up around. Excuse me, I have an asthma problem, so occasionally I will cough, and I have to take a sip of water. Or else
Absolutely.
I cough right in the phone. The story went something like a biplane clipped another plane up around where they have the air shows in Wisconsin. I can't remember the name of the place, but it's up there. And nobody ever made any more of it. It was a mystery plane. Nobody ever claimed who it was. And some guy decided to track it down, and he found where that plane, the people that owned that plane were, and he went and in the barn, they had this old biplane. The thing was, it was, oh my gosh, so many years difference. It was like 30 or 40 years difference when they clipped each other. I mean, it's like, somebody's calling for me. You ask a question, I'm going to yell, I'm down here. Hold on.
Oh, this is awesome.
I'm on the phone. There you go.
It makes for great live radio, I think.
Well, I can't believe my voice carries to several states.
I have to just throw this in here. When I first started on KCOR, I had this brilliant idea that I was going to make my own sound studio, which was just ridiculous. I mean, it consisted of my art easels and blankets. And I mean, I don't even know what I was thinking, but I would get myself in my little sound studio. And there was one particular night, and Tina will remember this and laugh, but I am doing my show and the cat sneaks into the room and then starts climbing up one of the blankets. And all of a sudden you hear this. I mean, it's like a car just came through the window. And I'm just, I did not miss a beat, man. I kept on. Nothing about it. You know what? Every once in a while, but I just had to throw that in there because it made me think about that with your comment. So let's.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. Go ahead. Finish your thoughts.
I was going to say, you're making me think like Crocodile Dundee when the guy said, "What's your chances of getting out of here with that jacket?" And he throws his big Bowie knife right into his mohawk haircut. And he said, pretty good, or fair to Midland. His reaction was, I'm sorry. He caught the knife and did that. Sorry. The reaction kept going. Just kept going.
I love it. I love that show. I might have to watch that when I get back from the conference. But with regards to these areas, and you have a lot of expertise because you've been, like you said, you were at the Marley Woods. You've been involved. You were involved. One of the first people there. You were there in the room when MUFON started.
That's a long story.
Well, and actually, if we could just shift gears and then we'll get back to Marley Woods and the time slips, I would love it if you could share because this history is really important.
You really need to talk with Ted on the particulars of Marley Woods because I have not been there since they had the long-term investigations. And I'm not the state director any longer. I'm, Debbie Ziegelmeyer. Thank goodness. She's doing such a great job.
I really like her. Yeah, she's
better than
great.
I was.
Oh, please. And I wish, and for people that don't know who Ted Phillips is, Ted is a great researcher, and he did a lot of important trace evidence cases and did all of the research with some other people about the Marley Woods. And I know that I have reached out to him. I know his health is not that great, but I would love just even to have a candid conversation with him, not on the air, because of the gravity of his work is really important. And I hope somehow, some way that doesn't just fall into a black hole, that we can learn from that as other researchers.
Well, he actually was a young. He worked, I believe, for the Highway Department in Missouri, and he was hooking up with Dr. J. Allen Hynek when he decided to go a little more with the people instead of the Air Force. And Dr. Hynek said, "Ted, you gotta collect as much trace evidence as possible. That will really help us in our research." And it was at that point that he started doing that. And I would tell you that he is probably the world's foremost authority on physical landing trace cases. He's got more evidence than anybody else. Stan Friedman says the same thing. Ted's got all the evidence. He's a good guy. And you're right. We need to have that shared. And we're playing Beat the Reaper on getting the eyewitness testimony on people. Let's hope some of our diligent researchers don't take it to the grave with them either.
Well, and that's exactly right.
Well, and an experience like that.
Sorry, and I was just going to say I absolutely agree. And I've had Barry Greenwood on the show, and he is my mentor and a dear friend of mine, and he's we're trying to do what we can, and he's teaching me how to do this and getting archives and research to me, because all of this is either getting thrown in the trash or it's going to places where people are donating them to universities. And I want to say, when you donate archives and research to a university, that really limits the amount of people that have access to that data, and it limits what you can do with the research. I've been up at the University of Utah Special Archives looking at just thousands of pages of Dr. Frank Salisbury's work, and I can't use any of it. It's the copyright. They won't let you use it. And so, so when you donate things to universities, and then you've got the fact that none of this is available online, so the researcher would have to travel to that specific location. Then you've just cut off 99% of the people that are going to be really looking into it. So we have to, I think, maybe form some sort of cohesive unit where we're trying to reach out to some of the people that are getting older and figure out, like Barry and Jan Aldrich have been doing, how in the crap we're going to get this stuff in a good place where the public will have access to it.
Yeah, I see it. It's a shame. It's like, what was that guy's name, Cooper, that was supposed to be burning all the CIA stuff, and he pulled some stuff back out of the fire, and it was all singed. You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. William Cooper, right?
Yeah. He was an interesting one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I want to thank him personally for bringing that stuff. Don't burn it all. Doesn't it make you wonder what else he did burn? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
who
absolutely.
Who knows what these secrets are?
Well, and that's too bad. And I will say, and I kind of say this a lot, I think in American ufology, we're much more egocentric, and it's not about the greater cause. It's about the individual researcher and how long they can stay relevant on the lecture circuit.
Wow. I'll bet there are people like that. I never thought of it like that, but I can see it. Here we have our great-grandfather, Stanton T. Friedman, who is like the special old grandfather guy that has all the data and knowledge. He would go to every place he needed to go and do the research there. He would go to the Truman Library. He would go to the Eisenhower Library, and he'd do the research what he could. He'd go to wherever he had to go. And here just recently, I guess it was about a week ago, he sent out a message, I'm tired, I'm going to go home and rest for a while. Poor guy. He is the example.
He is a love. You know what? He's a kind person and just a dedicated person. And the interesting thing for me is the more I really delve into this behind the scenes, there's so many people like Stanton that have done this, and it's like their names will never be remembered. And to me, I don't want to have that happen.
Well, you can write a book.
Well, you know what? And I know that you're writing a book too.
Oh.
You're not, but you should.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'd rather not really talk a lot about it until it's finished.
Oh, no. I'm just saying.
Because then nobody will want to look at, I know.
Oh, dear. Okay, well, on that note.
I it already.
Okay, we're going to take a break.
Oh.
Thank goodness for edits. I will be right back, America Luke.
Do I get a Kit Kat bar out of this?
Absolutely. You know it. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Stand by.
This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes. The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified with Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
Here's what happened on the last episode of Three Guys, No Ties.
Okay.
Well,
interesting.
It was a deal. Where am I?
Who's walking the dogs? Yeah, I know. It was a great show.
I walk in that place, I get lost. What is this stage?
He's like the fifth Beatle, he's just out there.
Huh? Ringo's got more sense at times.
I know. Why is he always the butt of the jokes, Ringo, huh? He's a great mediocre drummer. Come on, give him a break.
That's why I got a crew.
It's right. So I got a
Three
backup drummer.
Guys, No Ties. Wednesday nights, 7 to 9 Pacific on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is your captain. I'd like to welcome you on Jackpot Airlines Flight 1610, service to Lost Wages.
They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, apparently, they need a reality check done Vegas style.
Vegas, 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 Vegas.
Tune in Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, for Reality Check, hosted by Jessica Johns, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Biggest star in the world, bigger than Britney and Christina put together.
If it's happening on the Vegas Strip, you'll know about it here first.
You are a dirty little fun haver.
Join Jessica Johns as she explores and goes behind the scenes of what's hot and what's not. From the best entertainment Vegas has to offer to national celebrity gossip.
That's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Jessica has her finger on the heartbeat of the city, and she's waiting to share it with you. Reality Check, hosted by Jessica Johns. Wednesday, 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern. She does Vegas right.
Yeah, baby.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. How did you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug's adoption story started at a shelter. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Live for 3 hours every Saturday night. It's a show that engages the mind, makes you think, and maybe even challenge what you think you know. Hi, I'm Jeremy Scott of Into the Paranormal, where we talk about topics that are anything but mainstream, somewhere between abnormal and paranormal. Bring an open mind and join us for Into the Paranormal, live Saturdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
It's great. I think it's great. It's great.
The all-new KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Great. Make a note of it. It's great.
You're listening to UFO Classified with Erica Lukes, where the truth isn't hidden beneath the black lines of a Sharpie.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
To be on with Erica, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
Radio contact.
Share your thoughts on the show on Twitter by using hashtag KCOR. Or head over to the live chats at KCORradio.com.
The audience goes nuts.
And now, your host of UFO Classified.
Are you ready?
Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
Welcome back, and I am happy to be here with you live. I'm Erica Lukes. This is UFO Classified, and you can find me at ufoclassified.com, or you can find the Facebook page. I'm really trying to be good about Instagram, but, the social media and Twitter, just forget about it because I don't want to tweet out, like one-sentence things. It's just too much for me. But, find me there. I'm in the process of working on a documentary, and this is going to be really, really incredible because I have spent the past few years and a lot of money going out and researching, interviewing different witnesses, traveling to different parts of the world, doing field research because this is important, and I look forward to having the opportunity to really show all of you the important work that I have done and that I will continue to do in the name of preserving this subject and moving it forward in a positive direction. I'm formulating a couple different books that I will be writing, and I've got friends, Nick Redfern, Barry Greenwood, Greg Bishop, who are cheering me on. So stick around, and I will keep you updated on that. I will be next Saturday speaking in Irvine, California at Portal to Ascension. So if you are in the area, please come and then come up and talk with me. I look forward to being there and speaking with people like Grant Cameron and some other people, Ray Hernandez. Both of them have been on my show before, so that will be fun. Paula Harris will be there. So hopefully I will see you there. My guest this evening is someone who has been really in the subject for decades, and he has been researching things. He kept a state together, was state director for MUFON in Missouri, and that is a really active, a very cool state that Debbie Ziegelmeyer has taken over. But Bruce was also at the very first meeting when MUFON was formed. And I think this is really cool. And this is something historical that a lot of people don't really know about. And Bruce, I would like to just kind of go into that, and then we can kind of circle back around and talk a little bit about the other things. But tell us about how all of that happened.
Sure. That might sound funny to some people, but I was a teenager at one time, and this little article came out in the local paper. I live in St. Charles, Missouri, and there was a guy named John Schuessler who lived here also. Back at that time, McDonnell Douglas was like the center of the space world. Everything was coming out of St. Louis. And some of these people who work for MAC and other companies around the St. Louis area, they were very interested in the fact that there was a Project Blue Book going and all kinds of other things, but nobody really seemed to quite have their best answers coming scientifically about the UFO subject matter. And I'll just say I was a teenager. I was like 14. And I might have been 13, actually. But the problem is, this little article came out in the paper, and it said, local UFO study group, interested parties, call this number, John Schuessler. That was all that it was. It said UFO. And my mom said, hey, did you see this? And I said, no. Wow, what's that? And she says, I have no idea. And I said, how about if I call him? She said, yeah, go ahead and call him. And so I called up, and John answered, and I said, hi, sir. I wanted to know if you would allow students to come to your meeting. And he said, well, how old are you? I said, 13 and a half, 14. He said, yeah, you can come over. And he said, I said, well, how do you get there? And he says, well, just have your mother bring you. And he gave me the address. My mom dropped me off. So I'm sitting there, and there was these guys, and they were all talking about really cool stuff, you know. It's like it's hard to explain to people. When you're sitting there, I was just sitting in the background listening, and these guys really had their stuff together. I mean, they were talking some stuff. In football, they call it talking smack. Well, these guys were talking scientific smack. And there were people in there. I remember a guy named Paul Cerny that came from California, and there's another guy there from Sigmund Chemical, and another guy that I was introduced to, a good friend of mine, Cliff Palmberg, and these guys, they all talked about UFO stuff and how they couldn't believe that the government wasn't more interested. And there was one meeting, and they had another one, and I went to several of the meetings, and they didn't just have like one meeting. I mean, they had several, and it was in John's apartment here in St. Charles, actually. And it was funny because I remember this one day, this guy comes in, he's got all these charts and clipboards and everything. There's a guy named Walt Andrus, and he comes in, and he says, I've got some great ideas here. And so they're talking about forming the Midwest UFO Network. Walt Andrus at the time was up in Quincy, Illinois. And there were some people from around the contiguous states of Missouri. I mean, you know, there were some other people. And some very active friends of John's decided when Project Blue Book stopped, they just said, that's not the answer. We have questions. We want to know what's going on. So they formed something called the UFO Study Group of Greater St. Louis. Well, that was in 1968. And there were lots of people in St. Louis. I think their maximum at one time was a little over 300 people had joined that group, but it was only didn't even cost $5, to join. So they did their best. They did a lot of talking and research, and everybody liked to talk about stuff, and people would bring cookies and coffee, and it was nice. It was on Sundays. And about a year later, they formed what was called the Midwest UFO Network, which is bigger than just the UFO Study Group of Greater St. Louis, people from other states. And you know how successful that was. People all over the world joined the Midwest UFO Network because this Walt Andrews character, who I think you know who he is, or was, he passed on not too long
Absolutely.
ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was there, and he says, well, I joined APRO, and I joined NICAP, and they were mad at me because I was associating with the other two people. And he says, this is nuts. He said, we should have more information, not less. We shouldn't be fighting each other. It's like, Congress, Democrats and Republicans can't see eye to eye. Well, that's crazy. There's a larger good that people need to be aware of. It's the whole world is our world. It's not somebody else's. So you need to decide, where's your place in the world? What do you want to do? And he was talking, and they formed this Midwest UFO Network, and people from Africa, Europe, Asia, South America, Canada, all joined. Japan joined this Midwest UFO Network. And they got to the point where they said, that was 1969. Midwest UFO Network, it's a great idea. It's starting to work, but it doesn't sound right. People from all over the world being part of the Midwest UFO Network. Walt said, let's change it to the Mutual UFO Network and keep the acronym. And that went over great. And as you see it now, it's the largest in the world civilian UFO research group. Now, I started to tell you that Walt had the problems with NICAP and APRO because they were mad at him. And he just said, well, I'll just start my own group. So he did. And I got to see some of the beginnings of it in those little meetings in John Schuessler's apartment. So it wasn't like I had a major role. I was just an observer. But it was cool. It was very, very cool. And I got to hear quite a lot of stuff. And I'm still listening. That's the best part about it. Is sometimes you go to a MUFON symposium, you hear stuff you never know. You're just like, wow, never thought of it like that. And you're younger than me, so I don't know if you've had this experience. Back when they were first starting, and you can back me up with other people, ask them, they'll tell you the same thing. Everybody who was into being credible, all they were talking about was the hardware. They wanted the nuts and bolts. They wanted to know who could build such a thing. Who's got that kind of technology? Oh, if we could only get our hands on it. This was way before anybody really was talking about Roswell or anything else that we're more familiar with now. But they never really thought about the occupants or who it was that was flying it until several years later. I mean, I got the experience of getting to meet Stanton T. Friedman when he had dark hair. It was awesome. That guy had a big old bushy beard, and I mean, he was He still got it, but I mean, it was like dark, almost black, and it was wonderful. Those people are fantastic, and there's still John Schuessler around, and he is such a wealth, a treasure. I guess Bob Wood would be in that category too, a treasure, just like Stan Friedman. And those guys, you know, they had a young Ted Phillips that was working with them, and that's what was going on. And then eventually they decided to start something called Kufos, and that's where Ted was more active with Jacques Vallée and Dr. Hynek. And I'm hoping that Ted's okay. I haven't heard from him for a little while, and sometimes he's got some issues. Like you said, it might be better to talk to him in person and see if he might want to be on the air. It'd be great if he'd do it.
And that would be so important.
He's got such a great radio voice. He's much better than me. He's more interesting than I am. I know he is.
Whatever. No, but I mean, that's the important thing. And I think one of the reasons I love doing my show is my show, I view it as an historical archive. And to get people that are sharing their experiences and sharing how all of these organizations, you know, were formed and what happened in the NICAP days and the APRO days. I mean, this is history that we're, as you know, are like right on the verge of losing. And then you get this younger generation that is looking to YouTube and some people in the secret space program and the jump rooms and, you know, all of this stuff that you can't verify. And it just takes you away.
You about that, but I don't know if we should ask that on the air. I'm not really ready to go with the concept of a jump room.
I think that's a load of crap. I mean, excuse my language. That's not very ladylike, but it's I think that there are people that are coming into the narrative, whether they're just trying to make money or whether they're just trying to, you know, just get their 2 minutes of fame, but none of this can be verified. And I think that kind of stuff pushes us away from the truth of what's really happening. And we are doing groundbreaking research right here, and we need to look at that. And so I do not have a lot of. I'm not going to put my eggs in that basket, to put it mildly.
Yes. Well, the number one thing for anybody who's never heard me before, that may be new to the subject matter of ufology, credibility matters. Credibility is what you're looking for. And anything that takes away from credibility, why would you have time for that? I used to go on radio and television and newspapers, and they would say, "Oh, so you believe in UFOs?" And I'd just look them right in the eye and say, "No, I do not believe in UFOs." And then I would not say anything, and they would just look at me like, "Well, why are you here?" And I'd say, if you take something on belief, you're taking it on faith. I know these things are real because of the facts. You need to look into the facts. Look into the data. Look into the nuts and bolts. Look into the eyewitness testimony. You can put people in the electric chair, the gas chamber, on eyewitness testimony. But if they see a UFO, no, they're crazy. You know, can't do that. Can't have that. Oh no, these are Looney Tunes. But this is such a fascinating subject matter. I think the words "we're in search of," this is what we are. We are in search of the truth. And there was a movie that came out, you had mentioned a second ago. I forgot exactly how you phrased it, but it was one of my favorite movies. You might have seen it. It's called They Live. Did you ever see They Live?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I saw that a few weeks ago.
They had a jump room on that movie. They have a jump room on that movie, which made sense. But you know, the guys that say, "Oh yeah, we did this back in the 50s," while you were out there, walking around trying to figure out what you're going to do for the rest of the week, while you were listening to Elvis We were out there jumping out of the room, going into another planet. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. That's not feasible to my way of thinking. It doesn't mean it can't happen. It doesn't mean it didn't happen once. But it's like these guys that try to explain to me how they can go into a black hole and come out the other side. Now, being from Missouri, we have this little thing we say, we're the show me state. I don't think I'd be the first one to go into the black hole, because unless that's proven, when you can take light and turn it into darkness because of the crushing gravity, I don't think I want to go through the black hole. I think that's a bad idea. You know, if they can take light away from a sun, if they can take a sun out of orbit and suck it right into a black hole, what chance do you think your little human body's got? You know, oh my goodness.
I know it is interesting, and I think that's an important thing to talk about. And I know, luckily for me, that all of my listeners are much more intelligent than that, and they understand that we need to have evidence, or we need to maybe look at people's motivations for having YouTube channels where you're posting things, or networks where you're promoting things that aren't necessarily the truth, and it's not good science. It's not good. It's not good for any of this. So I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so, back with the MUFON thing, when you watched all of this and then you became involved, and what were back in the days when MUFON was first forming, what were the dynamics like between Schuessler and Andrus, and who else came in that we would know today?
Well, I was going to say, I know you'd know Stanton Friedman, and I'm trying to think, there were several people, but they're not around anymore. And I don't think that you would know who they were.
Well, then actually you should maybe tell us. That might be good.
Well,
oh
my goodness. Well, there's a whole lot of stuff that I'm going to put in my book.
Okay.
Will
Perfect.
explain
Perfect.
some of it. But I'm thinking there's so many other things going on. I mean, you got a shameless plug in for what you're doing next Saturday.
Absolutely.
Maybe I could give a shameless plug for what I'm doing next Saturday.
Yes, do it.
Okay. I'm also interested in all the ancient stuff. And as a matter of fact, next weekend, I will be at the 2018 AAPS 14th Annual Conference on Ancient America. That's in Harris, Michigan. And AAPS is Ancient Artifact Preservation Society. And it's in Harris, Michigan, which is the Island Resort Casino and Convention Center. It's run by some friendly Native Americans, and it's so wonderful. I've been up there several times. It's right real close to Lake Superior. It's on Lake Michigan, but it's really close to Lake Superior, Upper Peninsula. And there's so many things. It's like when you go to a MUFON symposium, that's a nice experience. But if you go to an AAPS conference like this one, it's like a MUFON symposium condensed down into somebody's house. It's hard to explain. But everybody up there, except for me, is like a retired university professor. And they all love to talk about all their research. And that's what they do all their life, is research ancient things. And it's so many things that are so fascinating. Like, do you know the difference between the Adena and the Hopewell?
No.
Or do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, you do, but you don't know it in those terms. The in North America, well, actually in other parts of the world too, but in North America, these guys One guy was named Hopewell, and the other guy was named Adina. And they had these mansions back in the 1800s, 1700s, and they had all these big mounds out on their property. And they decided one day they'd dig them up, see what was in there. And sometimes they find like 12-foot skeletons and things like that. But the guy who had the name of Hopewell, he found people and pottery that was all a certain way. They were very similar to what we look like. I'll put it another way after I tell you who the Adina are. This guy named Adina, I mean, that's not what the natives call themselves, but that's what the archaeologists call them now, because those were where they found them. The Adina people in their mounds have an elongated head. Their skull was like inches longer than a normal head, just like somebody pulled it, you know. You've seen that, right? You still with me?
Yes, yeah, I'm here. No, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here. I'm
Okay,
here.
I didn't know
I'm always here unless I'm not.
them. Oh no, they put me away. But it's the elongated skulls seem to be like in Peru, and you're more familiar with maybe Egypt.
Oh,
Egypt,
absolutely. Yeah.
You see, the Egyptians had these big, weird headdresses on because they had the elongated skull. And they had these long head things on, so they looked more normal, and you couldn't tell. But that's all over the United States. But the guy who dug up the first ones here, his name was Adina, and they lived up and down this Scotia River Valley in Ohio. There would be Adina mounds, and across the river would be the Hopewell mounds. And across the river would be more Adina mounds, more Hopewell, and they lived side by side. But they lived among each other.
Oh, and I love that. And we've got to take a break, and we're going to. I want to talk about that. Yeah, no. I want to take a break. I'm here with Bruce Widaman, and we're going to talk more about ancient history and all of these wonderful things, as well as UFO sightings and MUFON. I'm Erica Lukes. Stick around. The best is yet to come.
Listen very carefully.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
This is UFO Classified, live every Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The truth is out there, just waiting to be discovered.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
For more information on the host of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes, upcoming guests, as well as links to the past shows,
visit her website at UFOclassified.com.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified. UFO Classified.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.
Wait, that doesn't exist.
This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.
The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico. The rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazil was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
Welcome back to UFO Classified. I'm Erica Lukes. I was happy to be here and to see Patty and Lib and Doug and UFI, all of you who get in here. We've got a nice family, a very supportive and constructive place for people to learn about all of this, which we don't have a lot of places like this. And so I'm really grateful. Please make sure that you spread the word, like Northern UFOs does. He helps me promote this on YouTube. Tell your friends about it, and let's keep UFO Classified going. I know, and I want to just address this, that I have moments where this field becomes very, very frustrating to me, and I think it's not necessarily the research that I'm doing behind the scenes. And let me tell you, there is a lot of research that I'm doing, but it is the community, the UFO community, specifically here in America, that I feel we could use some professional and ethical standards. And I believe that should come from some of the organizations from the top down. And all of us who are on the speaking circuit have a responsibility to support that and to support each other. And that wasn't happening. And so I did make a statement that I needed to withdraw publicly for a while, which I will continue the radio show, but I'm withdrawing interacting on Facebook and some of these things that waste my time and aren't for the best benefit of research, I feel. So I want to clarify that, because I know you were talking about that in chat. I am here, though, with somebody who's been doing a lot of research, a lot of behind the scenes things, somebody who was 13, 14 years old and sitting at a table with Walt Andrus and John Schuessler when they were forming these different groups that eventually took off and became MUFON. And I think that it is really a great quote from Walt Andrus saying that we should have more info, not less, about this subject. And I love that. I'm here with Bruce Widaman, who is, like I said, he's seen a lot of things in his time. And when we left off, Bruce, you were talking about the Adena people. And so please continue, because this is very fascinating.
Well, I know it fascinates me, but I was mentioning that I'm going to the AAPS conference up in Harris, Michigan this next weekend. And one of the things I learned going to one of the other conferences is the difference between the Hopewell and the Adena people. And if you go to Ohio, my goodness, how can you not run into earthworks? You've heard of the Serpent Mound, yes? No?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, have you heard of the Newark earthworks?
No, tell us about that.
Okay. You need to, if you're ever going to Ohio, stop at Newark, go see what's left of the earthworks. They made it a park. It's huge. It's like you could put several football fields inside of this great circle, and it was mounds that these people way back when had there. And they have the entire earthworks on a bronze placard there, and you can see what it looked like. In the part that's the park, and you go there and you stand there right where this is at, and it's just a little bitty part of it, and it's humongous. So this thing would have been like, I don't know, maybe miles and miles long. It's earthworks. And you just sit there and you go, wait a minute, who were these people? What were they doing here? Well, it was some kind of ceremonial place, but I'll leave that up to you when you go there, because I went to the MUFON Symposium not too long ago. I had a friend with me. I said, man, we got to stop in here. He had never seen it. He's still in awe of it. He said, I can't believe that place. Well, when you actually walk up, it's like the first guy to put their hands on the pyramid. You know, it's like, wow, I can't believe this thing. It's huge. It's beautiful. It's mystical. It's awesome. And it's right there. You can just drive to it, and it's there. Look it up on the internet, maybe. Newark Circle Earthworks, Ohio. Newark, Ohio. And there's other ones around there, but I mean, it's mind-boggling. Enough about this conference, but the people that do that, they just go and they give their time. it's like a bunch of researchers. Several of them are retired. There's no real youth. I was like the youngest one that went there, and I just retired. So I mean, it blows my mind. It's like this should be on television every day. It's new information about old things that they're finding out every day. It's like the guy who was digging up for a well over there at Göbekli Tepe. You know, wow, that thing was around for years that nobody even knew it was there, and it was built before the pyramids. So whatever it is, it's interesting. And there's all kinds of stuff like that all over our planet. There's stuff in the oceans. There's stuff probably wherever you're at, there's stuff. And underneath us were other civilizations, and their remnants are there. And we just, we need to find out, because most of them, especially out west where you are, you're west of me, I'm in the St. Louis area, they have petroglyphs, and they show people coming down from the sky. You talk to people over in the Near East, and you study Zecharia Sitchin. My goodness, the cuneiforms, all of that stuff referred to the people that came down from the sky. And there's biblical references. It's just mind-boggling. So for UFO research, tangible data, tangible stuff, you can go backwards in time, or you can go into the future somewhere and find, I'm going to be all over the place with this stuff. It's hard to just say one little thing, because it's not one guy coming from one place in one vehicle. It's at least 17 different civilizations visiting us, and that's why they have different type of craft, and they go to different places. And if you have you ever gotten a telescope and looked at the moon?
Oh, absolutely.
I thought you were going to say, no, this is lunacy. No, but if you look at, you can do this. Anybody who's listening, you can do this yourself. You get I think you got to have a 10-inch telescope or bigger. And during a full moon, I know you're thinking about burning your eye out, but you won't. If you look at the moon, it's a big circle, right? Okay, dead center of the moon, dead center of that circle, there's a little bitty baby crater with my name. It's called Bruce. Okay, that's not the big deal. But if you go north of Bruce, there's a crater area. I believe it's called Ukert. Some people call it Ukert. I guess it's wherever you learned astronomy, but it's Ukert or Ukert. Now, during, 3 days before a full moon to 3 days after a full moon, you look in the dead center of that crater, and you got to have a 10-power telescope or better, and guess what you'll see? Seriously, guess what you'll see? And
I don't know.
You can do it. You can do
no.
it even. Okay.
I mean, I can't guess. You just have to tell me.
A dark, equilateral triangle structure. There's a structure. Well, interesting in itself. We probably did not put that there. So that leaves somebody else. And you go, wonder who that is. We didn't build it. There are no natural forming dark equilateral structures inside a crater that I'm familiar with. Now, maybe some other wizard of smart scientific guy can say, oh yeah, it was just the wind was blowing. Well, there's no wind up there anyway. But the thing is, it's a trick of shadow and light. Yes, no. I have a theory about that, and I shouldn't tell you on the live air, but I'm going to take a chance that they won't come and get me. I have a theory about that. Now, once you look and you see that that's actually there, I think you'll start saying, ponder this. Say, wonder what that is. Wonder who put that there. I wonder who those guys were. Well, I have a theory that makes a little sense to me. But if you go back in time to when our planet was first forming, and somebody else from some other scientific area came and they said, we want to observe the life formation on planet Earth. Well, where's the perfect place to build or place a structure where they can always observe the Earth, because every 24 hours it goes around right in front of you, but dead center in the moon, in that crater, in that structure. That's the perfect place to be observing our planet from the time the trilobites are slithering around in the muck to even now, because they're getting an eyeful now, huh? Look at them guys; they can't even get along with each other. But if that's the case, it makes total logical sense, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
If you were a scientist, you didn't want to. I mean, eye in the sky. I have Horus. What's that little thing on your dollar? You know, it's like somebody's up there watching. Maybe they're not there now. Maybe it was there a long time ago. Maybe they're not there anymore. But then you start doing a little bit more research and you find out about going to the moon. Hey, when was the last time we were up on that moon? Well, people, I believe it was 1972. Why haven't we been back to the moon since 1972, people ask. Well, the answer comes from nowhere. It says, somebody told us not to come back. Who knows? There's answers, but I have questions. I'd like to know why we spent all that money to go to the moon. Now, this is just me talking. All that money we spent to go to the moon, okay? Lots of money. Lots of treasure. Lots of lives. Blood, sweat, and tears. And we did it. We did it in 1969 when MUFON started. Wow. We haven't been back since 1972. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was 72, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we spent lots and lots and lots more money with NASA, as Stanton Friedman says, never a straight answer. NASA spent more and more money building a space station, the little thing that's floating around up there. We don't need a space station. We have a space station, people. It's called the moon. All we need to do is use the moon. Think if they'd got all that money they wasted on the space station. It's like some people are just dragging their feet for us to go to space. And we didn't go back to the moon. I've heard theories of somebody else was up there and told us, don't come back. That's an interesting thought. If somebody's up there mining our moon, they have found lots of strange things up there, like bright spots on the moon. You've heard of the term fast walkers, things that go across the face of the moon. I've seen myself images of things that look like they were moving along up there on the surface of the moon, different lights and craters, different strange-looking holes, square craters, looks like water areas. I've heard somebody tell me that the moon was volcanic. Well, I didn't think it was still volcanic anymore. And what was it? One of the tests they did with Apollo, they sent something back to crash into the moon, and the equipment said that it rang. The whole moon rang like a bell. That's interesting. How could the whole moon ring like a bell, especially if it was volcanic? I don't think I understand that. And why? How coincidental that moon being placed exactly in that same spot, orbiting our planet exactly the same way. It was almost like it was put there on purpose. And that's why I'm saying, if you wanted to observe humanity or any life on this planet from a place that the planet people didn't know you were observing, that's the place, right there in the middle of the moon in Ukurt, and they'll be saying, we see what they're doing now, and they're probably like laughing. Look at those guys. Look at how civilized they are. They're just killing each other sometimes, not all the time. So is that too weird for you?
No, are you kidding?
Good.
Yeah, yeah. I'm totally down for this ride, and I mean, I love that. I have two telescopes that I get out, and I love astrophotography, so I'm always out there taking photos, and I know that Fran Ridge with NICAP has the Lunascan project, and so he's been doing a lot of work with regards to that as well.
I used to talk to him.
I
haven't
talked
talked to him for years. But,
oh yeah, you should connect with him. I love Fran. Fran's been on my show, and he's doing great things with Madar now, and I support him fully.
Yes, he's a good guy.
He's incredible.
Did you ever take a picture of Ukurt?
You know what? I am going to get my photos out tonight, and then I will look at it.
If you did, you would say, "Hey, look at this."
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. I mean, I've taken some great pictures of the moon, and maybe I just need to get in there and really hone in. And the moon's out tonight, so maybe tonight's the night.
Well, how big is your scope?
I've got two different scopes, and I will.
Is it
one
a
is
10-inch?
I do have a 10-inch. Yes.
Okay. Because that's a requirement. Otherwise, you won't get close enough.
Yeah. No, these are serious scopes with big stand. So, yeah, they were. I mean, $5,000.
Well, I don't know about the money. That's awesome, but I know the friend of mine that told me about this. He sat there and took a picture and developed it and showed it to me, and I went, "My goodness, this guy knew his stuff." He was an optical physicist, kind of like Dr. Bruce Maccabee. Those guys know some stuff, man. I can't imagine a normal day. Well, let's see, what are we going to do? Let's bend some light,
Oh, absolutely. And I want to say, because you and I had a conversation. I mean, we've had great conversations, and you have told me just some more of these, like, kind of behind the scenes things, which most people don't know. And I love this, because to me, the knowing about all of the history and all of this, the behind the scenes things, I think that is really important, especially for the record. And there is not a lot of information out about MUFON and its inception, or the things that happened through the decades, and I think that's really something. So with your time in MUFON, going away from the moon now, but going back to MUFON, were there any things, as you worked for 25 years, how did the organization change and grow? Were there good things or bad things about the way it evolved?
Well, everything evolves. I mean, everything. I mean, it's just like a marriage. You start off, you're young and goofy, and you hold hands, and later on, you're going, "Don't hold my hand anymore." It's like I was saying before. The big thing when I first was involved with it, everybody was worried about the nuts and bolts. They said anybody that was dealing with the occupants or the contactees, they just stayed away from them. They said, "Well, we're engineers. We'll be involved in this, and we'll let the other people be involved in that." And eventually, they got to the point where I remember Stan Friedman. I don't know what year it was, but he said, "Hey, anybody take a look at the guys on board that thing?" And that was how he said it, and it was just so funny. It's like, yeah, I think we're all interested in who's on board that thing. And as long as they don't speak Russian or the United States type of language, have you studied a lot of abduction stuff or not?
Yeah, I was actually working with Kathleen Martin on the abduction research or the experiencer research. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, a long time ago, I remember talking to this really nice guy on the phone because we needed somebody who knew something about abductions and hypnosis and things like that. And there was this guy I was talking to on the phone, and I'm pretty sure he'll back me up on this, but he was talking to me. He says, well, who does that stuff? And I said, nobody does that stuff. We need somebody to do that stuff. And he decided to kind of get involved in it because of our conversation. It's the same thing, Bud Hopkins. What a wonderful man. What a wonderful man. And he did his own hypnosis because there wasn't really a lot of people he could count on. And then eventually there were other people. And thank goodness for Kathleen Martin. Thank goodness for her. I feel so bad about John Mack. The guy was really starting to pick up all of the abduction stuff. And there he goes and gets killed. And it's still mysterious. It might have been that he was murdered, but I don't know. I mean, I wasn't there and I wasn't standing there, but, you step off a curb and somebody runs over you, that's unusual. It is to me, at least, especially a guy like that. It's I started to tell you about the abduction stuff.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I will tell you about myself is for many years people would ask me things, and I would listen to them, and they would.
And
say,
I've got to just, of course, right when you're getting to the good thing, because we're going to break. So when we get
I'll
back,
just keep talking to you while we go on break.
No, because the best stuff happens on break, so you've got to just save it. But
another thing,
you're so naughty. Boy, so you are spicy, and I love that. I am Erica Lukes. I'm here on UFO Classified with Bruce Widaman, and he will talk about his experiences when we get back. Yes, you will. So stick around, and I will answer your question, UFI. So we'll catch you on the other side of the break.
Stand by. This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
With Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
1 million miles till midnight. A story of timelines, artificial worlds, simulated races, and the galactic imprint, and the destiny of a blue world called Earth. 1 million miles till midnight, written by Solaris Blue Raven, is a journey through the mind's eye which allows the reader to surf a wave of technological and multidimensional intellect, revealing a bridge between conscious design and the truth. A multidimensional bleed-through awakens the world of artificial intelligence to set sail into the frontiers of a vast multiverse, morphing planets and terraforming ascended worlds beyond the linear programs of a fated race. 1 million miles till midnight will awaken, inspire, prepare, and enlighten one to the many multidimensional states of consciousness and worlds we reside in. With every cell and atom, we are this truth and multiverse. 1 million miles till midnight. Written by Solaris Blue Raven. Available now at Amazon.com. Don't wait. Get your copy today.
It's great. I think it's great. It's great.
The all-new KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Great. Please make a note of it. It's great.
If ever a breed was affectionate to a fault, it's the Golden Retriever. They're people dogs, pure and simple. And the Golden Retriever Rescue of Southern Nevada needs your help. If you would like to volunteer, foster, adopt, or donate, go to the Golden Retriever Rescue of Southern Nevada's website at grrsn.org. That's grrsn.org. Or call 598-GOLD. That's 598-GOLD.
There is a world outside that which we live in, a realm where fact and fiction collide. The Paradigm Matrix. The Paradigm Matrix. Hosted by Willie Miranda. Every Friday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us, even now in this very room.
The 1-hour show that will surely leave you hanging on the edge of the rabbit hole. The Paradigm Matrix explores a universe of topics from UFOs, cryptozoology, conspiracies, as well as all things paranormal.
Enter a world of the twisted and deformed.
Friday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. The Paradigm Matrix. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network, where fact and fiction collide.
You're listening to UFO Classified with Erica Lukes, where the truth isn't hidden beneath the black lines of a Sharpie.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
To be on with Erica, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
Radio contact.
Share your thoughts on the show on Twitter by using hashtag KCOR. Or head over to the live chats at KCORradio.com.
The audience goes nuts!
And now, your host of UFO Classified.
Are you ready?
Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
Well, welcome back and happy Fantopia Friday. I'm always happy to be here on KCOR, and I love to get in chat and see all of my friends in there asking great questions. You are so supportive. I love it, love it, love it. I am here tonight with someone who has a lot of history, who has been there when certain researchers have come onto the scene, and Bruce has been very instrumental in getting specific researchers out there for the public, and I think that is wonderful. He has talked a lot about abductions. We're going to talk about that a little bit more, but about the foundation or the start of MUFON back in the late 60s with Walt Andrus and the Midwest UFO Network. Very interesting, cool history there. And now we're talking a little bit about John Mack, about abductions, and Bruce Widaman is here. And so, Bruce, talk about your personal experience, because each of us has a personal experience. That's why we're here.
I told you over the break. No, I didn't.
No, I don't think you did on that last break.
No. So basically, there's other things to go for on this interview, but I will tell you briefly. I had an experience, but like other people, I have not been known for my experience. I kept it very close to the vest, and for a long time, when I talked to people, and they would ask me, did you ever see anything? I'd say, yeah, I've got like hours of videos and, CDs and things on TV. I've seen all kinds of stuff. I've been to places and seen things in the sky. Amazing things. But I normally don't tell a lot of people about this, and I'm very hesitant to say a lot about it. I will tell you this, in my book I will put something in there that I'm not telling you today. But I am going to say I did have an experience, and basically one of my friends said, did you ever see one of these? And I said, well, it's very hard for me to answer you because I was going to say no, because I always tell people no. And something flashed in my head. like what do you call that? Not a post-traumatic stress disorder flashback, but something like that. I've never had the post-trauma, but somebody told me that they thought that's what it was. I did see something, and it was pretty darn good size. Big as a 2-story house, and I'll just say it looked like the planet Saturn. And it was not the planet Saturn, and it was about 2 telephone poles above my head. So that was pretty close. And I'll leave it to the point where I have some memories of it. I don't have a clear conscience going from point A to point B to point C, but I have little snippets. And there are things that I remember, and I'm not going to throw that out there.
Well, I'm excited to read your book, and thank you very much for just sharing a little bit about that. And I know that there's so many other important things that we need to talk about because we're running out of time.
Right. That's why I was hoping to at least tell you about one of these new authors that I just found, and I just love this guy's stuff. His name's Will Hart, Willhart. Did you ever hear of him?
You have told me about him, but you need to tell our audience. So tell them.
He wrote a book called The Genesis Race, and I read that book, and I was so happy after reading that book. I thought to myself, I am inspired. If this man had not written that book, I would have had to have written that book. He wrote such good information that you will all double your brain size. I'm telling you, this is good stuff. He just came out with a new one. It's called Ancient Alien Ancestors. And oh my goodness, I just finished that about 2 weeks ago. It's the best. I don't want to sound like a commercial for a guy. I've never met him, but I'm telling you, that's worth reading. I'm reading right now. I don't know. Do you try and read so many books a month or not?
You know what? I have a very different way of processing information, and so I look at a lot of different books, and then I'm pulling resources from here and there, depending on what my focus is for that moment. Okay. So,
well, that makes sense because you focus in and you do research on one thing. I read stuff and I highlight it, and then when I want to go back, I just go to highlights. Another book I just picked up called Military Encounters with Extraterrestrials. That's by a guy named Frank Joseph. I met Frank at one of these AAPS meetings, and he used to be the guy to put out their magazine, Ancient American Magazine. Fantastic guy. He knows his stuff. He does research the way it's supposed to be done. I'm just telling you, it's good stuff. Maybe to some people they read the same stuff over and over again. Well, how do you know what's true, and how do you know what's accurate? There's really nobody out there unless you have a friendship web, kind of like you have friends that say, hey, you're close friends, and they're well-read. Some of them are, and some of them are not. You got to remember, credibility matters. And if you're not interested in credibility, it's just a bunch of stories.
And I have to ask you, because to me this is important, and I speaking of credibility, I think, and I've said this publicly many, many times, there are incredible people like Debbie Ziegelmeyer, John Schuessler. They're incredible people involved in MUFON. But as we know, the choices for speakers at the symposiums has been questionable. And so people are wondering, some people are wondering, speaking of credibility, what does it do when you've got somebody like Corey Goode speaking at a symposium?
I shouldn't tell you in front of everybody, but it's kind of a pet peeve of mine. We had a MUFON symposium here in St. Louis, the year 2000. And I'm going to cough if I don't take a drink. But we had really, really good speakers. And that's how you can tell how good the conference is going to be, of who is chosen as speakers. Some people, I wouldn't have them. Even though I wouldn't tell them that, I just wouldn't have them. It's like, look, we got other people. And I only have 2 people that I wanted that didn't come for one reason or another. And I think it's the most important thing is to get the right lineup. And maybe they just had, for some reason or another, they had to choose those speakers. I don't know. But excuse me a second.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, it is putting on a conference. I mean, there's no doubt it takes a lot. It's a big, big strain. And I think from probably my perspective, the choice to have somebody that you can't really verify any of his credentials, I think that was a choice simply to make money and draw people. And from what I understand, it was the biggest money-making symposium for MUFON.
What was that? The one that
the one that the one that
they just had
that certain people spoke at, that actually kind of forced the hand of a few high-level resignations.
Well, I don't really get. I'm considered apolitical, and maybe that's why I'm so old and valued as a friend between most people. I just don't like injustice. And people know that about me. But I have friends, even some people that have done me wrong. They're still my friends. And I don't understand some things. I was very, very fortunate. We had a conference one time here in this area, and it was 1985, I believe. And I was responsible for getting the speakers, and we had, at that time, I can personally tell you I feel so bad about it because there's nothing I can do about it. We had Dr. Jan Hynek was on every conference that everybody had anytime, and in 1985 I said, let's have somebody else this time. Let's give somebody else that slot, and we did. And the very next year he passed. He had brain cancer. I did not know that, and I felt so bad because I had personally been the choice maker. I will not change that in my mind. It's like had I known, I would have put him in there, no problem, because he was great. He did do some strange things. First he was the guy who started swamp gas as a viable theory. Sorry. And I don't know, it's not like I have a drinking problem, but like I said, I have asthma.
I know it's bad. I have asthma as well, so it definitely is.
You have better medicine than me because mine isn't working.
Oh.
Well, there's a lot of good future. In spite of everything else, we were growing up, and we had somebody bring us to Gene Roddenberry's idea of the Federation of Planets. And I think that that's where we're headed. Not that I can prove it to you today, but I do think,
absolutely.
pure mathematical, there are other people out there. They may look like us, they may not look like us, but I think that there's some people out there. We have cousins.
So we absolutely do. And I want to say, with regard to, my remarks at perhaps MUFON's choice for people or the path that they're going down, I think that MUFON, there's so many good people involved, and the history and the data is really critical. And I when I was involved with MUFON, I was the biggest cheerleader on the planet. And I really, truly felt that I could help the organization or help the cause. And I think that there is something very important there that deserves to be respected. And in the same breath, I think, as a subject matter, to give attention to people who aren't necessarily credible, that does all of us kind of an injustice. It's a disservice. And so how do you feel we can kind of, how do we work around that and make money for an organization to keep everything open and also lend scientific credibility to the subject?
All right. This is the year 2018. Let's say that we make a plan that if it's true, what the people that came from the Pentagon and came to the last MUFON symposium, and they said, we want you to know we're here and we're open. Everything that we're doing on a volunteer basis is being paralleled by the governments, and they are paid to do their stuff, and we are paying and offering ourselves as volunteers. I'd sure like to blend that. I'd sure like to have somebody from the Pentagon or somebody from NASA or a couple of people from MUFON and those groups just get their act together, put the money into the solid UFO research instead of all this hidden military stuff. How much military stuff is secret? That's not my call. So far, I think we spend billions, literally billions of dollars to keep the secrets of our country. And the only people that aren't getting the information are the citizens of the United States. Now, there are countries around the world who have hacked us. They're taking our stuff. We don't want our secrets out. But listen, we've got things from 1947 that have never been revealed to our population. Do you think they're still using some kind of technical stuff from 1947? Now, if they are, then it was the back-engineered UFO stuff. But I think that they should be released. I believe our secrecy law said in 25 years past the date of the secrecy stamp, they should be able to release the information to the public. We're going to 1947. And I know they got secrets before that too, but come on. Let's get to the truth. If
and I love that.
About it, if they were going to be serious about it, do it.
Absolutely. And I mean, you hit on...
It's garbage, people.
Absolutely.
People are like walking around like zombies. Oh, I wish we could find the aliens. Excuse me. You're as much of an alien as anybody.
Well, you hit it, and that is absolutely brilliant. I mean, this is, I think, like you said, that the United States government, unfortunately, for better or for worse, back in the 40s, didn't know what they were going to do and wanted to, they made decisions that have had really grave consequences for the people in this in this country. And it has minimalized the subject. It has created a lot of this dysfunction, and that is unfortunate. And so now when you see To the Stars or, things, people trying to come out, of course you got to work against this because this is what the government created. And that isn't, that we all know that we've been interacting with something since the beginning of recorded history. There is no doubt about that. And so at some point in time, somebody's going to pony up, and I love what you said.
Yeah. Well, I've been around. There's a lot of things I haven't told you. I have really good friends that I wish we could have more information about. Larry Bryant, what a nice guy he is. He worked at the Pentagon for 29 years, and he's about 10 years older than me. Hope he's still around. He is as of tonight, I hope. He and I have the same birthday. There's a lot of neat things out there. Stanton Friedman, God bless you, my friend. I hope you live to be 400. I hope you live to see this stuff happen in your lifetime. And I hope, like, unfortunately, my good friend Leonard Stringfield, who passed, he said, I just wish this would come out. He had a lot of stuff, and he had some live wire phone calls that I just wish we had those phone numbers. And people like that, they come and they go. George Fawcett. There's other folks. We're losing them. We need to unite, maybe as the evolution of NICAP and APRO were, to become the reason that MUFON started. Maybe it's time for the evolution to get a paid portion of our military or our government to actually be the official UFO thing. I mean, I'm not talking Project Blue Book, whitewash crap. I'm hoping. I mean, we have friends. George Norrie that does Coast to Coast. He used to call me up and ask me for the phone numbers. He asked me for Stanton Friedman's phone number. He asked me for Linda Howe's phone number. I gave it to him. Those people, they got some money, Coast to Coast, I'm thinking. And the government's got money. We're doing well this year. Why can't we just push it along? We got the guy from the Pentagon, came to MUFON and said, yeah, let's start something. Well, it's only going to happen when people decide they want the truth, and instead of being a ridiculous political fool and just, like, we don't like you because my grandfather didn't like you, and, whatever. I mean, there's silly things out there. Stanton Friedman says, our national pastime is tribal warfare. Get over it. Grow up, America. Grow up, world. We have had our adolescence. Let's go to maturity. Let's join minds, hands.
We absolutely need to, and we also, it is critical that we enforce professional and ethical standards.
Yes.
And that is something that has never happened in this field, and that is something that we have to address if we're going to encourage a younger generation to get involved. People need to know that we are supportive and we're going to take issues seriously, and that we have standards. And then I think we can all join forces and really rock this out. And I think it's critical. We, as you know, Bruce, I mean, we're in a time period where we have to do this now. Because if we don't, our history will be rewritten.
Well, the victors always rewrite the history. So let's say that I haven't asked you if I could say this or not. I'm part of the Baha'i community, and one of our things is that we look to unite people, and we look for the good things. We try not to worry about the bad things, and that's what I'm about. Heart and soul. Be good. Do good. Be the example. People will see it. They'll follow you or they won't. I don't need people following me. I mean, I don't know how you found me. I was hidden so well. No, I've.
Well, too bad for you. I am that good. You're in trouble now.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the old people know who I am. A lot of the new people look at me and say, "Who's that old dude? Looks like Santa Claus." And they're right. I do look like Santa. And you better not be bad to me or you'll get coal.
No, but you're one of those rare, beautiful people that you've been there, you have seen so many things, and you have a good heart, and you want the best for this subject and for all the people involved. And I think that's what really just, that inspires me about you, and I appreciate that. And I think it's important for people to understand what you have given and done behind the scenes for this community.
Well, it's science. If you're interested in science, how can you not be interested in UFOs? It's science. Remember, credibility matters, and follow the facts. Follow the data. We need more people interested in science, and we'll find the truth. It's kind of like that young Star Trek movie where they had everybody going to the Federation of Planets scientific school. Remember the young Spock and the young... Okay. I see that coming. But I'd like to see it in 5 years instead of 25 years.
You know what? We're all so powerful. We can do it. And it's just a matter of coming together and focusing, as you know, good intentions and getting the right people around us. And I'm very grateful to know you. And I think we will do some good things. And we've got 1 minute to show close, but please, thank you, Bruce Widaman, who is just, I wish you could, you're coming back because I want to talk to you about Len Stringfield and a lot of other experiences. I love it. And I want to just say thank you very, very much. I want to thank all of the people listening and Northern UFOs. Thank you for my bats, Doug, everybody, Lib. I will not be live next week because I will be in Irvine, California. So if you are out there at Portal to Ascension, please come to the conference. And I will be thinking of you. Send me your messages, and I appreciate you. Be safe, have a great weekend, and stick around for a great night on KCOR. I'll catch you in a couple weeks.
Listen very carefully.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
This is UFO Classified, live every Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The truth is out there, just waiting to be discovered.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
For more information on the host of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes, upcoming guests, as well as links to the past shows,
visit her website at UFOclassified.com.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.